Thank you for listening to the Speaking Out on Sex Abuse podcast with hosts Clara and Jimmy Hinton. If you're new to the podcast, please look us up on your favorite podcast app, subscribe, like, and share so that you never miss an episode. If you'd like to further support us, visit patreon.com/speakingout and check out the different rewards. You'll find exclusive rewards if you sign up as a patron of the podcast. Thank you for your support, and let's get into the show. Welcome to this week's podcast. Thank you, as always, to our patrons who make the podcast possible. This week, as we promised, we are going to deliver an update on raising money to buy a motorcycle for our friend in Haiti. It's been purchased, it's been used, and we have pictures, and we just want to express, I think, for a whole episode, how grateful we are that there are people out there who are so incredibly giving. Mm-hmm. We had talked about this, again, it was probably a 30-second conversation. I just talked to Granny over here, and I said, I have an idea. Julian had written me, and he said, I'm in need of a motorcycle. He doesn't have any transportation. And I know from being friends with him and working with him for over a decade now that he is the person in his community who's the go-between, who's able to get medication, food, supplies, all kinds of things to people in his community. They have a community well that it broke twice last year. And it's a hand pump well, and when a well breaks in Haiti, all heck breaks loose.
Right.
Because they're that desperate for water. There is no source of clean water. People have to walk for miles and miles. They fill great big 5-gallon buckets and usually carry 3 or 4 of them at a time, which is very hard to do.
It sure is. And just as a little introduction for those that might just be joining us for the first or second time, Jimmy's sister, my daughter, Stephanie, and her husband did full-time mission work in Haiti for 5 years. While there, Jimmy and I made trips to Haiti, and we got to know some of these people very well. The friendships continued when we're back in the States, and Julian was one of the, I would say, shining gems for a friendship that we made because he is a true blue. So Julian continues to preach and minister to the people in his community. And what Jimmy's saying is so true. He is the light in a very dark world for people. He brings that light to them of hope, joy, peace, physical needs, food, water. I mean, Julian is medicine,
rides to the hospital, rides to wherever people need.
Right.
He's a hard worker.
And he is,
and is very poor.
Very poor, but so full of joy because he's serving God, and he'll say that. I don't know that Julian ever has a bad day.
Yeah, I've never heard him complain.
No, never.
And we talk almost every day.
So I just didn't want to leave people out of the loop who might not have gotten the background of this. So when Jimmy presented it to all of you on a podcast, that Julian was in desperate need of transportation, many of you stepped up to the plate, and Jimmy, take it from there.
Well, I mean, a little bit of the background too. We had an episode where we talked about the need, so I don't want to hash all that out again. But
right.
But he did have, when we were there, I mean, years ago, he had a motorcycle, and they don't last incredibly long there because it's just super rough roads.
Unbelievably super rough roads. Yeah, they're not like what we drive on.
They're not good roads.
No.
They're about 95% of the roads are dirt roads. They're
With
very
rocks
rough.
and
Yep.
gullies and
Yeah, they're
wow, yeah.
they're tough to pass. So the equipment gets beat up, and uh, being able to afford a mechanic
Oh,
and parts
oh
and things like
yeah.
that, it's challenging. So he had a vehicle also that at his brother's funeral got burned, got vandalized and burned because you may or may not know Haiti has been, especially in the south, down in Port-au-Prince, it's been taken over about 80, I think it's 85% of Port-au-Prince has been taken over by gangs. Their president was assassinated not too long ago, and the UN pulled out. They're no longer in Haiti, and so it's just it's chaos and it's a disaster. And the gangs have shut down the fuel supply for the most part. So they hijacked a lot of the fuel trucks, and they would barricade the roads. They would often kill the drivers. And I used to drive truck, and that's just it's a hard job to begin with. When you're driving on dirt roads with an 80,000-pound tanker truck, and you're on impassable roads with a
Right.
with a regular vehicle, and you're in an 80,000-pound
yeah.
tractor trailer, it's not easy. It's tough. And so a lot of these drivers were hijacked, killed. The gangs would take the load of fuel, and then they would sell it on the black market, or they would hold the fuel and they would send it out in rations. And a lot of
Jacking the
things,
price up too.
big time. So it was like
Big.
20. I think at the height it was like 20, selling for $25 US per gallon.
Which is, put it in perspective, a lot of the people live off of $100 a year. So
Right.
that's putting things into
Right.
greater perspective.
Yeah. So, completely unaffordable. But I think that's stabilized a little bit, but it's still, I mean, they're paying way more than we are
Oh, yeah.
here in the States. So his vehicle was burned. It was vandalized because of the riots literally at his brother's funeral. And he was far, far away, so he didn't have
Right.
a good method of transportation to get back home. So he sent me a letter. It was a handwritten letter back in, I'm looking at the date here, that was back in February. And he was saying, they're in need of a motorcycle because he can't get people to and from church. He can't get supplies to people. He can't get food to people. And when he says that, the translation is people are starving to death, and that's just their reality. Food is very difficult to find. It was hard before.
Right.
Now it's very difficult to find food, and so starvation is it's really skyrocketed. And he sent me a receipt. So he got a quote from a dealership, which basically is just a little street vendors on the side. They get these crates with parts that come in from China, and then when you purchase it, they just assemble it right in front of you.
I'm shaking my head because unless you've actually seen it in real life, it's hard to imagine. I'm very thankful I got to see a lot of this when I visited, because it sure did put my life in better perspective. I have no needs.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
None.
We're
I
very
am
blessed.
eternally grateful for just daily food, believe me.
So I just realized our camera's kind of focusing in and out. Sorry about that. I took it off the tripod and used it somewhere else, and it changed it back to some weird autofocus mode. So, anyway, I talked to Mom and I said, what do you think about having a podcast and just kind of putting it out there instead of having our small church, which is financially strapped anyway, instead of having them try to raise this money, why don't we just put it out to our audience here? And so we did that. And we were like, let's just see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And an incredible thing happened. We started getting donations, and we set a goal for $1,000 above what the motorcycle costs, and that's to register it, all that stuff. So to make it legal, which you don't have to do in Haiti. But if your bike gets stolen, it's a lot easier to track if you register it. And so we put a thing out there, and we were like, all right, let's set this goal, let's set this amount. We did a fundraiser on PayPal, and all these anonymous donations started coming in immediately. We had one of $1,000. We had a couple that were $500. I had somebody hand me anonymously hand me an envelope with $600 cash, and said, we want every penny of this to go to Julian. So we did that. We ended up very quickly overshooting our goal. We not only met the goal, we overshot the goal by another $400, which is very significant in Haiti. Very significant. So we sent the money over, and then we started getting pictures. And I knew, one, he was going to be really excited. Not because it's not like here in the States where we're like, I want the shiniest, best, flashy car to show how privileged I am, kind of thing. This is his mode of transportation for many, many years to come. And believe me when I say, Haitians take care of their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They really do.
Oh yeah.
They want it. They want it to last. They want it. They want to take care of it. And so we gave him money for the bike, and then we gave him money, a designated amount for food and medicine. And not even a week after we sent the money, I'm going to show you some of the pictures. Sorry that Granny's head is going to get cut off here.
Okay.
It auto resizes it. I'm a manual person. I like to do things manually.
Yes,
but when we try to do it manually, it cuts off the motorcycle. So we either cut off Granny's head or we cut off the motorcycle.
Get that motorcycle in there, Jimmy.
So here we go. So there's Julian and his wife. That's the day they bought the motorcycle. You can see how happy they are. It's got plastic on the seat, plastic on the turn signals, and that is a top-of-the-line bike, as in durable, in Haiti. So this was last Sunday. This is at his church, which is the place where we spent a full day there doing a medical. We did a.
It was medical mission work.
Medical mission trip.
And
so
it was amazing. Just seeing this picture makes me homesick for being there. The sentiment in the room when you're with people that have so little yet praise God so loudly and so much is just awesome.
Yeah.
It really is.
So this was last Sunday at the church, and you can see all the people with a hot meal, which means they had to buy charcoal. They got there super early in the morning before the sun came up. They started cooking. I'm sure he invited people from the neighborhood. Probably, my guess is a lot of these people are not church members because that's what he did with the medical mission. But then he uses that as a way to be able to reach people,
right.
And to minister to them. He wanted me to know that he didn't just spend all the money on hot meals, but he also bought dry food. So that's traditional rice and beans. So you can see the green bag of beans sandwiched in between 2 bags of rice. And he would have bought several of these. And then what he does is they ration them out. That's probably what's sitting up on top there is bags to put them into smaller bags, ration them out, and then they hand deliver them to families. We actually did that while we were visiting there several years ago. These are the people scarfing down their food. I think that's the same picture. I think I put it up twice by accident. And then back to the beginning. So he sent several more pictures, but I just wanted to give you the idea that, he is delivering food. He's making food for the whole congregation and neighborhood. He sent pictures of dozens of people standing at the well. They're standing in line. That's the well that we repaired twice last year. And that's probably the only well in their town, I would imagine.
I would think so.
It's not common to find wells.
No.
A lot of people have to walk 10 miles each way. Right. That's not uncommon. And so that's probably the only well that services the entire community. So you're talking hundreds of people every day that come to that well for water.
It's amazing when you think about it, because every time I turn my faucet on, without fail, I don't care how many times I do it a day, I think of my friends in Haiti and how difficult it is for them to get clean drinking water, what they have to go through. You remember the little plastic bags of water? And Haiti is hot, the weather out there, but they don't have ice, obviously. They don't have refrigeration. So these bags of water are warm. But when you are able to purchase clean water, even purchasing that is next to a miracle.
Well, they don't have those anymore.
Well water.
I don't know if you know that.
No,
so that was,
I didn't.
That was Culligan who made those little bags of
I didn't
water.
know
so
they don't have it anymore.
You snip the
Right.
corner, then you just suck the water out of it.
Yeah.
It's just literally like a sandwich bag.
Right.
That's sealed
That's
off.
all it was. Yeah.
So that was Culligan, and when the UN was out and the gangs took over Haiti, Culligan pulled out, and they said it's just not safe for us to be here. So they pulled out probably about a year ago now. And so when they pulled out, cholera came back, and people started getting really sick with cholera. And because
there is no water.
They go into the rivers, and the rivers are absolutely polluted.
Right.
It's not pretty.
It is full of, they have no septic systems.
Nope.
Let's put it that way. So
they don't have landfills.
They
so
don't
trash
have
goes everywhere.
like that. And it's just sad.
So, yeah, when you find a well, that's a super precious commodity.
Oh, yes. Oh, my.
And so when it broke, we didn't even hesitate. I talked to a few people, and they, within probably 2 hours, 3 hours, I had more than enough money to fix the well both times.
Right.
And so that's what's really cool. We're very touched by this community, that people who we don't know who gave, because the vast majority of people gave anonymously. But when I saw these amounts of money coming in, I was really humbled, and it's incredible, and I think it speaks to who you guys are as an audience, and that you guys cared enough about somebody who you never met before. You trusted, there was built-in accountability with PayPal, because you have to show receipts that you spent every dime that you raised.
Which is wonderful that you have to do that.
Yes,
right.
it is.
Yes.
But, you guys still trusted enough that we would deliver that, and so that was done. So yesterday, I got a letter from Julian, and I want to read it. And this is really difficult because it was typed on a computer and printed off, and it's challenging. You have to go somewhere that actually has a computer. You have to sit down. English is not his first language.
No, of course not.
So I'm sure this took a while to write this in English. And then, of course, you have to pay for stamps, and you have
the
to get
paper,
the letter here.
everything. Just the whole process is not like sitting down in his home and typing on a computer.
Right.
It's a process.
Yeah. This probably took him a full day, actually, to
Right.
get this letter typed up and mailed. So here's what he wrote. Dear Brother Jimmy, it is a great pleasure for me to write you in this moment. I pray for you often, your work, and your family too. How are you doing, my dear brother? By the way, my family and I are doing well. I pray this message finds you well. I want to say thank you for your support to help me find money just to buy this motorcycle for my work. I can't find good words and expressions in my vocabulary to express my joy. I don't know how to thank you for the dream that became a reality. I know very well many people who contributed to this purchase. Please share a message directly of thanks to them from me, and I believe that God will bless them abundantly. May God's protection fall upon them now and forever. My wife, children, our orphans, and members of church are so happy to see the motorcycle. And that's not because he's vain.
No,
it's because this is a tool to be able to get food and medicine. The very thing that you saw, I can assure you that many of those people hadn't eaten for days. We've been there.
Oh, yeah.
And we were there during a good time.
We saw it. Yeah, right.
And we met person after person after person who was literally dying of starvation, people who hadn't eaten for... the one young woman, I think it had been like 4 or 5 days since she had her last meal. Young woman in her 20s, early 20s.
And the children scooping up literal grains of rice that they could eat.
So yeah, this motorcycle and the money we sent in addition is genuinely being put to good use. And then this is my favorite line. He said, P.S. I will keep the motorcycle like my baby brother. May God continue to bless you and your family and Christian love, Julian. And then he said, a great thanks to Steph, your sister. She helped out a lot with getting the transfer. We had a nightmare of a time transferring the money, which is not uncommon. And she helped big time. But what's funny about him saying, I'll treat this motorcycle like my baby brother, is that he sent me a message on Facebook the other day, and he always sends pictures. And he said, I wanted you to know that I took the motorcycle to a mechanic because I want to make sure that this lasts for many years to come and that there's nothing wrong. And keep in mind, it's a brand new motorcycle. But he took it to a mechanic. He had them look it over. And in the picture, there's not one spot of dust on that, which means he's wiping it down regularly.
Constantly.
He's washing it with probably there at the well or maybe down by the river. But he's keeping it very clean. And he still has the plastic on the seat and on the turn signals.
Yeah, I love that.
So he has not removed the plastic yet. And probably won't until that plastic wears off. Right. And that's just...
It's just so awesome to see someone that thankful, putting that to good use. Julian, by the way, has been a great protector of children of abuse.
Yes.
Jimmy mentioned that in our first session about Julian. He has made a safe haven for many, many children, keeping watch, he and his wife, over the children on shifts during the night so that they are protected. Please pray for him in your prayers. Keep him in your thoughts. And, Jimmy and I genuinely thank you also for helping in this endeavor.
Wonderful. He would not be, those people would not be fed.
Right.
If it wasn't for you, the audience. Right. And I mean that. That's single-handedly.
That's a fact, right?
It was our audience.
Thank you so much.
Who delivered this money?
Yeah.
And he was able to make that purchase.
Very
not
humbling,
just for the bike, but
very humbling to Jimmy and I, and makes us so very thankful for you all. Thank you.
That's just neat.
It is.
I mean, we're not in a very good, strong economy right now. I know inflation is absolutely, it's crushing us. I'm sure it's crushing a lot of other people. And so we don't take it lightly when people give. I mean, every dollar literally is counted as a blessing. And we don't take it lightly. So we're so appreciative. And
you blessed many, many, many people and will for years to come. Because that motorcycle will be loved like his baby brother.
Yeah.
I love that. I do. I love that.
I would take care of it like my baby brother.
I love that so much. Yes.
That's
love
so cool.
Yes.
Yeah, he will take very, very good care of it. And that's just thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
We can't thank you enough. And yeah, we'll keep sending updates, but he's going to make that money stretch too. And it wasn't a whole ton of extra money, but he'll find a way to stretch that and make it last. And
just think, whoever thought this little podcast that started on the couch in your living room would have now reached clear across over into Haiti?
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
It's really cool.
Thank you all. It's
really
wonderful.
Cool.
Yes.
So that's our update. Thank you. Keep doing what you guys are doing. Even if you feel like what you do is insignificant, I promise you it's not.
Right.
I promise you there were people who gave $20. That was not insignificant. Every single dollar counted, and every dollar is being used. And you're providing life. You're keeping people alive. And we can't thank you enough. So that's our update. We love you, and we'll catch you next round.
Thanks again for listening to today's episode. A special thank you to our patrons who make this podcast possible. Please help us get the word out by searching for the Speaking Out on Sex Abuse podcast in your favorite podcast app. Be sure to hit subscribe and rate the show. Please consider supporting the podcast by becoming a patron and check out the rewards our patrons receive.